Welcome back to the experience, everyone. I am your host, Eric Falgu. And today my guest is my really good friend that worked with me a couple of months ago at a salon called Salon K. Roy. Shout out Rachel Fuentes for giving me that opportunity when I was trying to build the studio that y'all see here. And so that's where we met. And I'm going to introduce her. Who are you?
My name is Tyler Lindner, and I'm a hairstylist, and I've done some acting. And I'm from New Orleans.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It's been I told you about this journey a couple months ago, right?
Yeah, no, I've been interested, I think, since day one. I think you're just so passionate about what you have here, and I've been supporting you since.
No, I appreciate it. Like, does it look okay?
It looks great.
Like, what did you think? Because I know I always told you, I was like, hey, it's gonna look like this, and we're gonna do that. But like when you walked in, was it like, it's not that good, or is it like it looks better than I thought?
No, I was nervous for my own reasons walking in, but like I had full faith in you. But I
Thank
will
you.
say that when I walked in, I was like, I'm impressed.
Thank you. You're right. And then I was like impressed, like it's okay, or like exceeded your expectations. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like exceeding my expectations.
And then maybe, well, thank you, because I really
definitely.
thank you for appreciating what it looks like, because it has not been easy.
No, the setup here is like, no, it's very.
I put everything I had into this place.
I know you did.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I did that with my hair career, but I really did it with this. So maybe like I'll be able to merge them together.
Well, I think that would be awesome, because like so many people right now, like on social media, are like, like putting in their passion for like hairstyling, and so many cosmetologists are out there. I think that would be a cool like segment to have, like, and kind of explore that part of your life, since it's
dope.
So big.
That's a good idea. See, I think you'd be a natural podcaster. I don't know what you would do.
This is all
talk
new
about
for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how long have you been acting?
Not long at all, honestly.
Okay, because I know you told me that.
Yeah, no, I've always wanted to. But it was something that, like, even when I kind of understood what it was and what it meant, it was like I was younger, and like my family didn't really support the business as much back then.
Right.
I think stereotypically, like, everything that I heard at a young age was that this business, and probably like including just anything that was, Hollywood related, or like just anything out there, like in that realm, it was just considered like sinful. And like,
it's a rough business.
Yeah. And
yeah, it's hard out there. Business. Yeah. And then like all these documentaries of like, Marilyn Monroe coming out, and then you're like, oh wow, she went through that. Like, it's a rough life.
Yes.
It's not easy to be an actor or an actress.
No. And
so they didn't want to, they were like, hey, get a real job.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Don't follow your dreams.
Well,
it's impossible.
And it comes from a good place, I think, as far as like,
they want the best for you,
wanting me to be successful.
100%.
But also, like, at that time, like as a kid, like knowing that was something that, I wasn't into like sports or anything like that. So to have an outlet where I could like express myself would have been, ideal.
Right. Like you wanted to do more acting than like play sports.
And like, have that kind of side.
Artistic.
Of art. And because I will always have enjoyed art as well.
You can draw or paint?
If you ask my grandma, she would say I'm the best artist. But, like for me, it's just something I do when I'm stressed, or if I'm having like anxiety, like that kind of helps me.
So you probably have a big ass museum in your house, huh? You probably paint lots of beautiful art. You're just being modest.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
No.
Well, I would like to see a piece.
No.
Maybe I could bring it in here. Anthony's giving me a piece, Anthony, that we just recorded with. And apparently he's an artist. He's a football player. He's a singer-songwriter, dad, all kind of stuff. Yeah, so it's nice.
I wouldn't say that I'm the best, but it's fun. Like,
grandmas know best.
Grandmas know best. You are right about that.
No, my mine taught me a lot. So
no, and mine have to.
Yeah,
for sure.
So what are you doing now? Like, where are you cutting hair at now? I know we parted ways.
Yeah, so we did part ways, but
not forever, but just for a little bit,
Yeah, no, I mean, I loved working with you, I think, and I loved it there.
It was a good place. It was a rare gym.
Yeah, and like a lot of caring people and also good at what they do.
Oh, for sure.
Um, but it
Different
was
levels.
different levels exactly, and good
But
relationships and good clientele. Honestly,
yeah,
I was kind of surprised, but
yeah,
no, like very very kind people. But I needed a change, and with personal things going on in family, like it was more ideal to move toward the
right.
West Bank area of New
Yeah,
Orleans.
because like old Metairie is like it's just different strokes, for different folks.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is,
different
and
clientele.
very different
Yeah,
clientele,
West Bank and
and
East Bank for sure.
yes,
And
and
the family issues. I remember you telling me. So I think you made the right decision, and you seem happy.
yeah, no,
It's
I
like
mean,
it's like an older place, Salon K Roy. It's like an old soul. That's why
it
I told you
it
when I
was,
met you.
and I felt like I fit in there from
Yeah,
day
for sure. Yeah,
one,
because you
you
have an old
know.
soul.
Yeah,
Like you can
but
kind of adapt to people. Yeah,
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 no, I try to.
yeah.
Well,
I try to be like that. I call it being like a chameleon.
yeah,
So,
kind of. I
um, but I mean, I think that's because it seems like you've lived like a long life. Like you've been through like a crazy life. So it's like these things. They say, I guess like wisdom comes with age because you've like lived all these different lives. I don't know. I must be making that up. But
no, I mean, I can definitely no, it makes sense. It's weird saying it, but
yeah,
yeah, no, yeah, from a very young age, it's been a journey, I think, but many people that I can connect with or could connect with me, I think that it is hard for anyone,
hmm
no matter what their family or home life looks like, it's hard mentally,
yeah,
emotionally.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, I think I've been through a lot that has helped me get to where I am
right,
and kind of molded me into like what I expect and like what
nice,
I want as a person and as a stylist when I'm looking for a job or something like that. But yeah, K Roy like really um it kind of made me branch out on my own and try new
right,
things.
right. That's pretty cool.
And yeah, no,
So
for
you
the
learn from
first
each experience.
exactly.
Yeah,
But now back on the West Bank area with Salon Jolie, I'm very happy and I lost my passion for hair for a very long time
right,
over the past few years. And there was points where I didn't know if I was actually gonna make it or if I could even do it as well and as successful as I wanted to be.
it's a rough
Um,
career.
yeah.
It's
Well, I
hard.
mean, you know that it takes a while at first to like,
Yeah, it's hard to be a lifer. Like, I know a lot of people. I went to beauty school with like 36 girls, and I was me and my friend Casey were the only one that graduated, and she never did hair. She, her husband had a good job. She had a good job, so she just stayed doing that. I was like, what? Like, dude,
no.
this is all I have left. This is all I know how to do. So like, I had to like survive from it,
Well,
and it's hard to build a clientele.
it is.
Usually,
Well, yeah, definitely. And then switching locations. But I think no matter what, it's hard because
right?
it requires more than the average person thinks,
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
it's like running a
Like,
business.
but that's funny because like just how like acting was kind of like shied away from
hmm
me. It was like when I said I wanted to do hair, it wasn't necessarily a great thing either,
Yeah, for sure.
And because people don't really realize what the industry has come to, I guess,
Yeah,
because it's way different
yeah,
than 30 years
for
ago.
sure. You
Um
can make zero money or you can make $100 million. It's kind of weird. Like
right,
you could be a
like
millionaire as a hairstylist. A lot
exactly.
of them are.
And it's not even I can't even say that it's that hard right now. It's just more of the dedication you put into it.
Yeah. Like how
And
like do you want it that bad like you thought?
right, which it's hard to. I
Yeah, for
mean, at the
sure.
end of the day, no matter how much you enjoy it, it's a lot of hard work, and I don't think people get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting because it was kind of,
That's
it was like those two things like was the most things I was connecting with,
yeah.
like trying to figure out.
Yeah, like yeah,
And
hair and acting.
yeah, and I was like, oh, shit, like,
That's what I'm trying to do with this, the podcast and cutting hair. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm
no,
working on something though.
it kind of like
I can't give it up.
intertwines together perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it my whole life since I was like a 14-year-old kid. So it's pretty much all I'm good at, I think. I mean, I'm good at a lot of stuff now, but it's the only thing I ever did for free and did for money. And I feel
Right.
like, when I'm cutting hair for free, that's when I give like my most creative like looks. And if I have
Absolutely.
to cut like 15, 20 people a day just to make like a quota for like making money, it just sucks. So I'm thinking about doing something like with the podcast. I've invested all my money, way more than I ever did with hair. And I don't know. I tried to create this like this look, this vision, this vibe.
No, I think, I mean, I've told you this many times that I think that's where it starts. And that's where it really kicks off too, is just with the amount of passion that you have
Right,
in it, and also the amount of time and energy you want to put towards it.
for
And,
sure.
you've also maintained a really good clientele with hair
Yes,
at the
it
same
took me a while to
time.
build it. Yes,
Yeah, at the same time of like investing in something else that you're passionate
yeah.
about, which is really hard to
It's
do.
like two careers.
It well,
Yeah,
it
two
is,
LLCs, really, two businesses. Kind of weird. One
honestly.
makes money, one makes like none yet.
Well, but that's nobody makes
Right. That's what I
anything
tell
at
people.
first.
If I set up a chair, I can go anywhere in the world and put a chair out there and make money. But
Yeah.
with the podcast, it's like you had to sink a lot of money. It could be as cheap as you want. You can get you like a little laptop with like your
Well,
headphones,
yeah,
or
but
you
no,
can make it look like what you
like
see in your head.
this.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
what I saw in my head. Well, we're
Well,
pretty close to it. It's almost what I want.
no, this is what I saw in my head when
Yep.
I pictured this.
Really?
I mean, this is my first, like I said, my first podcast, but you
I know
know,
I was shocked. I thought you sound like you've been on a ton.
no, but I think acting has
Right.
helped. That's why
Right.
I've helped, because not only like acting, like, you know, pretending to be something else or
Right.
investing in a character, it's not only that for me. It's the experience of everything else when the camera isn't rolling for me.
It was the vibe.
It's the vibe. It's the amount, like
Is
the
there a vibe in
teamwork.
here?
There is. There's a
Okay, thank you.
very good sense of teamwork.
Thank you, thank you. That's
And
what I'm
like
trying to accomplish.
that is what, honestly, that's what makes it a business, and what's really means professionalism to me is how people interact with each other. And yeah,
Like everybody seems happy here. It's
yes.
like working at Google. It will be. Get a real
Wow.
big building.
I
Have
don't
like
know about Google, but it's good here.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, maybe I'll just buy the building from Harold and he'll just stay working here. He's my tech guy. He's the guy that owns the building. So
I don't see.
yeah, he's
Come
like
on,
really.
Harold.
Yeah, he's like yeah. He's let's go Harold. He's been like so hyped up since I got in this building. I think I kind of brought it life. He like renovated it. Got like artwork hanging. I was like, I see you. I see you. So I think I kind of pushed him because he thought I was kind of fucking around when he's like, oh yeah, do your little hair out of there, and just blah blah blah. And when he saw me like spend like $6,000 on just like equipment for this, he's like, are you taking this shit serious? I said, dude, I have two businesses in here right now. This ain't a game.
Well,
Okay.
it's not. I
No, I
mean,
mean, but it's a
anything
different
that,
type of job. It's like a modern day, like I'm trying to be a content creator or influencer.
right.
So it's like, it's weird. It's like, if I'd have did that with my hair career, I probably would be working for a really big company or have my own. But I don't know. I kind of, fumbled a few things along the way. So it's like, here, podcast. I'm happy.
I
It's
think
pretty,
it's,
whether I get paid or not, it's like, it's just awesome.
yeah, no, I think it's great.
And hopefully it helps other people. That was the whole, point, right?
but that's what you said, like since day one of
Yes.
explaining it to me, is that's what you wanted. And even though I was so uncomfortable with
All right.
sharing
Well, no, that's why I wanted you
things
like to,
about me,
yeah, I
it's
was
just different,
for sure.
than anything else that I've done so far. And I haven't even been acting that long. I started 2 years ago, and it was more of an outlet for me after
Right.
COVID.
Right.
And after I went through some things the past few years where I really was just numb and felt like no passion for hair
Right.
anymore. So like, it was like, okay, well, if you want to get your spark back, like you need to go do something that really like reminds you of like everything that your life has been about or that you've pictured since like you were a child. And for me, that was like acting, and it was
Right.
like just movies and television and plays, and like it was such a beautiful art to me since I didn't even know how to explain it. And so it was more of an outlet to say like, okay, like I want to like just dive into it and see like what could be
Fuck yeah.
like,
What's the big, take
well,
a chance.
taste
Everything's
the
a chance.
water,
Yeah.
and like it's not easy at
Yeah.
all.
Well, most people never try. So at least you're attempting. Same as
Right.
me.
And like, and it's like, it requires a lot of dedication.
It
Right
requires a lot
now,
of discipline.
it does. And
You have
like,
to become obsessed with it. That's what my friend Jeffrey told me.
yes.
I don't think you're completely obsessed yet.
Well, I can respect you for being able to handle and juggle both businesses because,
I messed up a little bit of stuff in
well,
between.
yeah, but
Yeah.
even
I
like,
lost a lot of things in between. It's like a risk. Yeah. That's like opening a business. My friend Sean that owns Valhalla. I mean, he lost everything to keep his gym open, and I was like, whoa, at the time, didn't experience all of that, and then
Right.
throughout this process, it's been like that. It's been kind of wild,
Yeah.
but yeah, but that's kind of like it's like, are you obsessed enough to like go all the way?
Right. Exactly. And that is,
That's hard.
it is hard,
Yeah,
because, but like I said, that's why I respect you, because like you're doing great,
thank you.
but it
I'm not
is
really
so
doing
hard.
nothing.
No, come on.
Yeah,
But like with,
getting close.
yes,
I keep saying that to people. They're like, this dude's tripping. I'm like, I mean, I feel like I made it already. I mean, technically,
I think so.
yeah. I mean, a couple more tweaks in here and shit.
I think it's great,
Yeah,
and it's a great environment.
yeah.
I think I like this new
Well,
studio like so much.
do you like feel like, since obviously I've been wanting you to share your story, do you feel like this is a vibe that you feel comfortable like speaking in about your life and things like that? Like, I guess
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to create. I feel like people open up to me differently once they're in here, which is the whole point. I want them to feel like comfortable and like, you know what I mean? It's like it's your life, it's your story. So to me, that's special. And hopefully people
Well,
feel that.
yeah, if even if not special, it's just personal,
For sure. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's
Vulnerable state.
yeah, it's vulnerable, and I don't think I would be able to sit here with just anybody. I mean, I think it's not even just about, yeah, I mean, it looks great in here. The
Right.
camera
Right.
equipment, the team that you have,
Right.
it's very impressive to me. But I mean, I'm sitting here with you.
Yeah.
You know
Thank
what
you.
I mean?
No,
I
I'm
mean,
grateful.
since day one, like even before I knew about this, like before we talked about the podcast
For
piece, I don't
sure.
think you told me until
Yeah. I
like
think
a
it was a
week,
while. Mm-hmm.
maybe a week and a half
Mm-hmm.
after us working, which I mean, we were working, a few days a week.
For
So
sure.
I kind of got used to you
Right.
very quickly.
Yeah. Well, I started
Um,
doing the jiu-jitsu shit, and then I was like all hyped up about that. So I
yes.
was doing all that like while doing it. I don't know. I just jumped. I
Well,
just jump all over
you
the
just
place.
had no, but you have a lot going on,
Yeah.
and so it was like the podcast didn't come up for a little bit, but when it did, it was like I had already gotten comfortable like with you,
Right.
because like I just think like you're a very honest person, and that's hard to come by. I mean,
Oh, for
honestly,
sure.
and
It's got me in a lot of trouble.
well,
Being too honest. I don't think you're supposed to be. I guess like I just tell the truth.
well, I think at the end of the day, that's what
Yeah.
it takes. I
Yeah.
mean, to really be vulnerable, and like
Yeah.
the truth is like for me that's
Truth
just
hurts,
it does.
So whether it's good or bad, ain't that some shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess, just keep it a little like they don't have to know everything. I've learned that
Exactly.
through this whole process too. Spent a lot of time with myself in here, like painting, hanging stuff. And you realize like, oh, okay, I need to start doing a little less of this or a little less of that.
Yeah, no, I think you kind of, but at the same time, you start to focus on certain things.
For
Like,
sure. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I put a lot of focus into this.
yeah,
And
you
my
have.
hair, I feel like I've been doing hair the best I've ever done it. I just haven't like, people like, oh, you should be doing more stuff with your hair. And I'm like, I am. Just chill out. Cause like I feel like I can never quit doing hair, but I want to use it in a different outlet than I've been using it. And I
Right.
guess more of like a social media outlet. So I'm figuring
Yeah.
something out. And I think it's gonna be the new thing. Somebody's
Well,
already kind of beat me to it because I just didn't have the because all this takes money.
well, of course.
And if you wanted to make it look good and like, because kids are so used to like, oh, well, that camera looks like shit, even though they don't realize like how many cameras it took to make that one video. And it's so
Absolutely.
everybody's just used to like new now. It has to look the best. So I guess when I do this like next adventure, because I got another one that I'm working on, it has to be like perfect. So this was kind of like the trial error period of like a podcast.
Yeah, I always say like you can, perfect is not always realistic, but
For
you can
sure.
get close to perfect,
Yeah.
but that requires like your heart in it, and
Yes.
putting your full mind, body, and soul into it. And you only would do that if it's something that you're passionate about. So obviously it's showing for itself just because of, you know, the heart that you have in it,
Thank
which I
you.
think it's good, because like I think it will help people, like just anything
I
about
think it will. I think your story.
lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, we're living in different, different world, right? Different times.
very
things are
different.
more accepted. Like, so your parents were like super cool with you coming on, like they were, because I
Coming
know
on
that
the
way we talked
show.
about. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Like, how did they feel? Because like, remember I asked you, I didn't know if like you talked to people about this, or you haven't. So,
Yeah, well, honestly, I was a little nervous about it because um, they have been so supportive the past 2.5 years with me acting,
mm-hmm,
um, which was so different than when I was younger.
right,
So it was kind of crazy that they were supporting me so much acting. And I think it was because I really was throwing myself all into it.
right.
And I started to book, even though they were small projects, they were something. And I was bringing home somewhat of a check. And
That's
so
cool.
they respected it. And that was new for me.
Yeah,
So, but even then, I still have old tendencies to where, yeah, I was nervous. And so I made sure that I talked to them about it because I want to always respect their privacy, but you know, it is my life at the same
right,
time and
right.
my experience. And so I kind of brought it up and they knew about you from K Roy.
Okay.
And I think I had mentioned that you had a podcast before, but
Because the people are always like, "What's your podcast about?" I'm like, people's life stories. I'm interviewing people, you
yeah,
know.
absolutely.
So did they kind of like know it was like about your life story?
No, not
No.
at first. Well, they
We left that part out. That's the part you leave out.
yeah, no, I was like, well, they were like, why do you want to talk to me
Right,
about
right.
it?
What
You
you
know,
going on
like
this show for?
you
Like what's it
never
matter?
right, like you never talk to, you just tell
I'm
us
getting,
after the fact. And I was like,
getting time
well,
out. Ah, that's
this
better.
show, this episode is about me
Right, right.
and
About
like
you what?
in my
I'm
journey.
gonna act like your mom. About you
Yeah,
what, Tyler?
and I'm like, well, you know,
What do you mean, Tyler? Yeah, what do you mean?
you sound just like her, honestly. No, but I explained it to them
Right,
and what your podcast means for you.
right.
And they were worried at first, but at the same time, I was shocked, but
Worried as like a parent should be worried, about
right,
their
which
kid.
we're in a very different place than we were many years ago. But yeah, it was still a little shocking, but both of them, especially my dad came right out and said, why do you don't need to ask us, like this
Oh,
is your
gotcha. Oh, that's
story.
badass.
He was like, you share
Seems
your
like a cool
story, your
dad.
experience. No, he's a very cool dad, and it's been
Yeah, because
it's been
you're
like
you're
rocky,
right.
you
Well,
know.
your story to me is gonna like help. Excuse me, gonna help a lot of people that are like going through the same things as you and that you have been through. And like to me personally, like what I thought or what I think about each episode is like somebody out there when they do hear it, if they get a chance to hear it, might be like suffering, and they need to like hear what Tyler has to say. And like that's what this whole show was about, is what it was created for, to help others.
And I mean, by no means am I like,
So hopefully they're okay with that.
hopefully, but
Oh, well, since you put it like that, Tyler, go on the show.
right, no, seriously,
Yeah, I
but
mean, so they were okay with it.
yeah, no, they were good with it. And I think that at the same time, like I was nervous about it, just like they would be nervous about it for me.
For sure.
But no, they were great about it and
What's,
very supportive.
what's really funny is when I asked you tonight, I was like, wait, this is your first time like ever really like talking about your life? You're like, yeah. I was like, oh shit. I was
Right.
like, oh, okay.
Well,
Then I got
besides,
nervous.
you got nervous.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit.
No, I got
Don't fuck
nervous.
this up, Eric.
Oh, come on. You couldn't fuck it up.
No,
No.
when it's live one day, well, then we can't fuck it up. But right now it's pre-recorded. But I'm gonna make sure they don't edit this out, because this is like the whole part about podcasts, and it's natural. It's the whole reason I have one, because I can say what I want or do what I want, almost do what I want.
Yeah.
Maybe if
No.
I don't get a YouTube contracts, maybe Rumble will pick me up. I don't know. I heard they're looking for the next Joe Rogan.
Well, you might have it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to go for the top, So like, if I were gonna try to be an actor, I'd be like trying to go after Brad Pitt. I mean, so
Yeah.
I guess that's how you got to look at it if you want to like continue it.
I
Well, that's
guess
how you
so.
should, but
You
that's just a
know,
suggestion.
yeah, I know. I think I want to
Savage life.
savage life. No, I think what I shoot for is just to be the best version that I can be at that time
For sure.
because sometimes it's very different.
For sure.
But yeah, just being the best that you can be. And yeah, no, I think you're doing it. I think I'm doing it because I was nervous to come on here, yes, but of course it was like there was no question about it. I felt comfortable sitting here with you, but
Right.
um
I think you're like one of the strongest people I've ever met, especially like to go through like what you've been through and like what you're going through.
I
I
don't
mean,
know about strongest. I mean, I think people have had it a lot, I think there's been a lot worse than me, but at
yeah.
the same time, it's it's not easy for anyone. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
part of how I kind of warmed up to the fact of not coming on here, but just actually just talking about it in general,
Right.
I think it was, well, nobody really talked about it when I was younger.
Right.
And that was kind of the problem.
Right.
Like even if you didn't really know at that age what it would mean, it was I couldn't really see anything or anyone like me
Right.
from a very young age. And so it was kind of confusing because you see, so many things on television, film, and in the magazines and just in day to day life, especially living in a small town. And there was nothing to connect with. And so, yeah, that's kind of what warmed me up to it was thinking, well, even if I don't think my story is that helpful, maybe just seeing somebody that is like them
Right.
maybe would help because, like I said, for a while, it's not until the past few years that there's been a lot more diversity in film and
Right.
television and just in the media in general. And it's still not even that great, but
Right.
I mean, it's
So,
a process.
hmm. So, I guess what was that question I asked you? I wanted to ask you earlier is like your story, right? So where should we start? Like I guess has Tyler always been Tyler?
Yeah, no, I've always gone by my name. I was born with this name. I was born in 2001, which is weird to say.
Oh, I feel so old.
I know, and the thing is, it even makes me feel weird to say it because it's just it doesn't seem like that long ago for me, but
Right.
now it's
And
been.
I told you I feel like you're an old soul. I was like, man, how are you that young and just I feel like you've lived a bunch of lives. So what have you thought about like another name?
I mean, like I said,
People are like, what?
it's
Another name?
another name. Yeah, no, it's weird. I mean, like I know some people change their names so easily, but
Right.
for me, it was it was just a little different. I don't know. Like I felt some
Well, I mean, I
kind of
love the
it.
name Tyler
I
for,
mean, but
on both.
I've met like a lot of like born females that were named Tyler as well. And I
Yeah.
think that's part of it. But at the same time, it was just
You're my first one.
it was just part of me.
You're
I
my
don't
first
know.
girl Tyler ever. Yeah, I
Really?
swear to God. That I can remember.
I mean, I
And I
haven't
thought
met
that was
that
unique
many.
about you. I was like, because I have a cousin Tyler. I mean, he looks like a Tyler, and I love him. I couldn't imagine being like another name, but when I met you, I was like, she looks like Tyler. Not like my cousin, but you just look like your name should be. It's a good
Yeah.
name. It's a unique name for a girl. At least I think it is.
Yeah. Well, I think I've made, so many, not changes in my life, but so many choices that have gotten me where I am that along the way, like it was just, that's what stuck. And
Right.
like, if anything, that was not one of my worries was the
Right.
name.
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
just it
That's actually the
gravitated.
easiest thing, right?
Yeah, the name was just like, yeah, I've thought about changing it before, but I can never think of anything that would be more important to
Right.
me
Right.
than what I was given.
That's
As
special.
yeah, no,
Then that's beautiful that you think like that, because when people are going through like the same, what transitions you're going through, it's like they change everything.
yes, a lot
Yeah,
changes
and it's like
and it's hard.
yeah, like I don't know if I could have another name, if I wanted one, even like change it from Eric to Zach because my mom wanted to name me Zach. I just want to keep my name no matter what transition I'm going through.
Absolutely. And I think it was something that no matter how many changes I was going through because they were necessary, it was like that was something that just stayed the same and it was
Right,
consistent.
right, and you
And
needed that in your life
yeah, because it
because you're about
made
to go through all these changes.
all these changes that right in my heart I felt were definitely necessary for me. But at the same time, it was a nice, friendly little reminder that I'm not changing into a different person. I'm just who I am.
You're
But
becoming who
that's
you are already.
right,
More
exactly. And that's how it was for me. But a lot of people feel differently,
right,
and but some people like go their whole life and they think, oh, this should have been my name, or like,
right.
or this feels like it connects more with me. But I haven't felt that way yet. So I haven't
That's
really
awesome.
you know.
So like, man, I don't know what the hell's going on tonight. Sorry.
It's the
Whatever.
weather in New
Yeah, right.
Orleans.
Yeah. Or like that. Yeah, it's the weather. Probably need to quit smoking. So like when did the transitions start? Like when did you start just, have you
Like,
always felt like this? Obviously. Like, yeah.
yeah, no. So at a very young age, I felt this way. And I think when you're young, I
It's a
don't
good way to
know.
put it.
Yeah, I don't know if you really understand what it means. I mean, if somebody would have
You
like
just feel
said,
like,
right, I just feel how I feel.
yeah,
And no, if anybody said like when I was like 5, 6, 7, like, like I didn't know what the LGBT community was
right,
or what gay men or what trans men. And, those just were not terms that I was familiar with in
right,
my household,
right,
but also just like in the public, in my, like where I was living, like
right,
that just, it wasn't really shown. So like I knew what I was feeling, and but at the same time like it didn't feel wrong for me, but
right,
everyone else seemed like it was wrong.
right,
So it was confusing, and like there was nothing to connect that with, like
right.
connect the dots, but like the dots were all over the place. Like I
Correct.
just, and so I mean it was a long like process of just not knowing and like just feeling like just feelings.
Right.
And so yeah, I mean like from a very young age I've known that things were different for me.
Right. And the world has changed a lot now. Like, I think a lot of people I hope they're fortunate. Like, it's going through like these changes. It's like, it's accepted because, like you said, it's like, this is just the way I've always been. So I'm
Right.
glad to see like the world is like changing their perspective of shit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely. I
And
think it's so much better
just let
than,
everybody like do what they want, like live your life. I mean, this is
right. Well, that's, I mean, that's
you
something
only
that,
got one of them.
well, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody would think that way, but
Yeah. A
it's
lot of people don't. Well,
a lot
people
of
are
people
simple
don't.
minded. A lot of people aren't open minded.
Right. And I'm a very open minded
Yeah.
person
Most, yeah.
because even people that disagree with my lifestyle, like, I'm not going to be a hateful person towards them. And,
Right.
like,
They just don't know better. They don't know
they
better.
don't know better. But also at the same time, like,
I call them they're not educated.
right, not educated. But at the same time, like, okay, like, yeah, I'll hear you out because that's the kind of person I am.
Right. Well, that's
But,
the right thing to do.
well, it is. But for them, it's different. And but if you don't want to hear me out and try to at least listen to my way of life or my kind of understanding of things,
Right.
if you don't even want to listen, then I can't, there's no reason for me to like kind of have any kind of connection with you because
For sure.
you're not open enough to even understand.
Yeah, they're not going to connect with you. So it's like talking to a dead horse, you
Exactly.
know? So like when did you start first like taking like hormones? Like when did you have to start that? Is that something like you
Well, that didn't really come into play until later on
Okay. So
and
you went like a
everything
long time just
without
yeah.
that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Has that
no.
helped in a big way? Obviously. I mean,
Yeah, in a way it's helped for sure,
mhm.
and it's been a struggle in other ways. Um
Like probably it's got to be like on your mental a lot, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely. But more than that, I think just the beginning of it is it's a new like journey in life, not
Hell
only
yeah.
like in my head, but through my body
For
and
sure.
like through my health journey as
Yeah.
well as like everything else. And yeah, no, for so long when I was younger, like I said, I felt a certain way, but there was no way for me to express it or kind of connect the dots.
Um,
And
right.
yeah, so that didn't come into play until really until just a few years ago,
Right.
when I saw doctors and things like that and kind of connected with what this meant
Right.
for me.
That's what my friend was telling me today while I was cutting her hair. It's like there's body dysmorphia.
Yes.
So what's the other one called? It's where like
Um,
you feel like you're supposed to be like you're not in the right body. Dysphoria?
yeah, dysphoria.
Dysphoria, yeah.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
so
Yeah.
is that like kind of how you felt like that?
That's what it started with.
Yeah.
Well,
And she
from
explained it to me and I was like, holy shit, I
yes.
just learned something today. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I think, people don't understand. It's like, oh,
I learned from
you
my
know,
customers. That's how I go to school.
well, I mean, you learn so much from clientele.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, I learned so much from my clientele.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
I've
I
like
mean,
learned how to grow up through my clients. It's kind of weird.
me too,
Yeah. Yeah.
honestly. definitely that.
That's like the beauty of the business. I'll be honest.
Well, I
That's
think
better than
so.
money to me.
It is better than money. Well, yeah, the connection
Yeah,
and
for
having a
sure.
good day and
Yeah,
actually, not
having a good conversation, like you learn a lot about just life. It's good
yeah,
stuff,
absolutely.
and usually they're pretty happy with you sometimes, so 'cause it's not like a normal job, it's kind of
It's not.
wild. Yeah, like they trust you.
It's very specific.
Yeah, it's a specific job title. It's kind of an honor and a pleasure.
Yeah. And
So
it means something different for every single person that sits down.
that's what I'm trying to do in here.
Yeah.
Like that's the next thing, I guess. I guess that's like the thing. Like I got kind of uninspired with hair, and then I feel like
I
this thing
can
like freaking lit a fire under my ass.
no,
I don't think I've ever worked at something this hard. That's why like you get like a little nervous when you think if it's. Hopefully it works out, but
I
you
think
know,
it's working out just
yeah.
fine.
Thanks. I think it's pretty cool. So how do you feel about like being here and talking and
Yeah, no, I feel good about everything. I
yeah,
mean, I feel like I said, I feel comfortable with you. So
yeah. Thank you.
I'm in a safe place. I know
Yeah.
that.
I mean, because this is like your first time ever, like just really sharing your story of your
Transition. Yeah,
transition.
absolutely. Yeah. Besides, like, I think
Because
it
I'll be honest, I
started
had no idea.
really in the
Yeah.
beginning,
Yeah.
like when
And
you
then,
first met me.
yeah. And then, like, some of my customers would be like, and I was like, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, dude, they were like, because they would ask me. And I was like, yeah. I was like, but, to me, I've always just kind of seen you as like Tyler, the chick. Like, I've never thought anything else. So I was like, well, whatever she's doing, it's working. You know what I mean? And I know, like, just like with my friend Cam, like, I've watched her go through these transitions since, I think she's 20 now. So, which is, well, I feel so goddamn old. I mean, I've been
Right.
cutting her hair since 6 years old, maybe, so I've seen everything. And, to like learn so much different about, from her today. And when I was like, okay, when I'm talking to Tyler, what should I ask? Like, what can I ask? Like, what do you feel? Because, I think there was even a point during her transition when I might have said something one day at the shop and it like stopped her from wanting to come to me. And then when I
Really?
said, yeah, but I had zero idea. And it wasn't like anything bashing. I think it was, I'm from the West Bank, so I kind of get like, rowdy when I talk and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
think I kind of like freaked her out. And so
Maybe
when I cut
just
her mom, yeah, she was like, Cam was like, it's not that she don't love you. She was, I guess, kind of nervous around you. And I was like, was I hostile? Because I'm like a pretty, so when she told me that, I like texted her one day out, and this was like years later. I'm not just talking about like, and this is a person, and so, because you feel like, well, what did I do for them not wanting me to cut their hair? Like, kind of, that's one of the other shitty things about the business. It's like, you don't really,
it's
when
the
somebody stops coming
unknown.
to you, like I take it personal because that's like my
No. Well,
livelihood.
you can't really not take it
Right.
personal.
Even though people say don't take it personal, it's a little rough. It's like
Yeah.
losing a little piece of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you care enough to make them feel the best that they can
Oh
when they
yeah.
leave,
Yeah. You're giving them
even
a
if
piece of
that's,
yourself, like to everybody.
well, it's very, yeah.
You got 20 customers, you just gave them 20 pieces of Tyler.
It's a lot of energy
yeah.
exchange
Yep.
for sure.
Yep. They got enough sweets for today. That was funny.
Yes. No, it
Kinda.
was.
So now, like, what age did like, because obviously, like, what did your folks say? Like, how did they feel?
Yeah. So, like I
Supportive,
said,
non-support? Because they sound fucking awesome. So,
well, yeah, no, I think a big thing in anything like this that is new,
mm-hmm.
or newer for anybody. There's
Sure.
still a lot of people in our area, in our generation, and just people in general that are unfamiliar with this,
For sure.
which is okay. That's not necessarily the problem. It's more or less okay, focusing on what does it mean for that person and why is like their journey. It's not like they chose this,
Yeah, for sure.
because wouldn't have chose this if it was going to be this hard. I would have just chosen, to live
Yeah.
what I was technically born with or how I would have technically been raised,
Right.
because who wants to go the hard way? I mean,
Well, that's what
not many people.
that's what I asked my friend Dylan, who I've been knowing for a long time. And back then he was like, why would I like choose this life? Because he grew up Catholic. And he's like, why would
Yeah,
I choose like to, if if this is a sin and I'm going to hell for it, why would I choose that? And that shit like hit me like a ton of bricks. And ever since then, I was like, all right, so you're just born like that. It's like, it's something up there. Just like people that like touch little kids. Like, yeah, it's fucked up, but it's like, that's just how they were born. Like, they can't, like, there is
It's
no other way. Like,
right.
you never thought about it. It's just, this is how I can't help it. So it's
Yeah,
hard for people to grasp,
it's kind of like built into
Yeah, it's just you.
your
It's your
exactly.
programming. Yeah,
Exactly.
like, and
And
there's been some people that have had like things happen to them, like and then maybe they can imprint on that person, sometimes. But so there's like cases of that, but like I guess chromosome or whatever, it's like it's genetics, it's science.
it can be definitely genetics.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, that was similar to my experience as well because at a very young age, yes, no, I felt different.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I mean, it started, I guess, whenever I can look back to an age I can remember, or like have a grasp of like memory.
Right.
And it was like maybe like 4 or 5.
Right.
And I know that's still pretty young, but
Well, I
that's kind
remember
of,
shit since I was a baby.
yeah,
People think it's weird.
I know it, and people do think it's weird, and they're
There's a
like, "Oh,
thing.
you heard
That's a thing.
stories," and yeah, no, like, yeah, maybe
It's
I heard a lot of stories, but I also can remember fragments
right.
of
When do they call that something? Like when you can remember pieces of your brain, like childhood, like that young. There's a scientific term for that.
I didn't know
I
that.
think we're special. I just found out what my personality is. I'm an advocate.
Well, there we
Apparently.
go.
Yeah.
I went all this time without knowing, but I guess
I just found out. So you would, I
I'm
mean,
normal then.
yeah. No. There's 17 of them. I'm sure you're in there somewhere, or
Yeah,
you might have an 18 one. I don't know.
I don't know.
So when you started like saying, hey, there's this thing available, because like you're in a generation where it's like it's easy. It's like it's a blessing, to like get there quicker than, let's just say, the other half.
Right.
And which I learned about too. And I was like, man, this is so wild. So what's that been like for you to be able to like have that opportunity to like start that transition finally with the dysphoria, because I've had body dysmorphia. I mean, I still do. That's why I did bodybuilding,
Right.
didn't want to be fat. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, what's it like to feel, to be able to do that and start that transition?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a day by day process, and I might feel differently as every day
For sure.
differently. But I think from a very early age, like I said, it was I couldn't express myself. I didn't know how to express myself. I just knew I did not feel any kind of connection with any kind of masculine
Right.
tendencies
Right.
from the age that I can remember of being like 4 or 5.
Right.
And at that age, that's the age that like, your parents are like dressing you and they're kind of like, if you were born that way, like that's how
Right. They're
they're,
just putting what they
yeah,
think should go on the boy, what they think should go on the girl. Yeah.
exactly. And like, so it started off that way. And I didn't really connect with, my clothing or things like that. But it was more mental as well. Like, I
Right.
didn't connect with that many men in my life.
Right.
Well, really, I didn't connect with men in general, but a few men in my life I did,
Right.
like my grandfather, and with my father at some points in my life I did connect. But overall, it was a lot of feminine energy that really spoke to me at a young age.
That's what's up.
And not only in myself, but just attracted me in general. My
Gotcha.
grandmother's being very strong and my mom as well. And so it started off that way, just not really feeling right in my body or looking maybe at my mom at a young age, like when, she would help me out and like, do things like any mom would do,
Right.
like, and of course, like seeing her and just like maybe wondering, like, why don't I look like mom?
Right.
Like that's what I was thinking on my head.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, their answer was like, well, because you're a boy,
Right.
like,
Right.
of course you're not going to look like me,
Right.
and it was
kids
like,
ask those kind of questions all the fucking time. Like kids
right.
ask crazy shit.
Well, yeah, because because it's all new. I mean,
Yeah,
they're kids.
Yeah, they don't like. Yeah. Keep going. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
That's like, I thought about that when I was a kid. I was like, did I remember all? Because like you think when you tell a kid something, they should know better.
Well, right.
But they're still learning. Like, did you
Well,
know that at that age? And just
right.
yeah.
And also
Probably
because you're
not.
still learning, like,
Yeah, it's weird.
would
Growing
you
up's
like,
hard.
would you come up with those feelings if you didn't really like,
Right. It's hard enough to raise kids the right way. Like, why would they add pressure? So it's like, no, it's this is how it is. It's like,
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, no, I definitely felt like there was this part of me that was different and there was a part of me that was like missing.
Okay.
It was like I felt like I could relate to my personality in a way or like my life and I enjoyed it at some points, but I felt like I was like my heart and my soul was like in something, like in a person that like I kept looking at in the mirror and it didn't seem right like to
Right.
me at all. It didn't like when I looked in the mirror for so long, like just for many, many years of my life, it was like I didn't know who was staring back at me.
Right.
Like it just didn't make sense. And everything growing up, especially in my early years of elementary and going into middle school, like I didn't understand why I was put into these stereotypical roles and fashion and, like, oh, I should be playing sports and it's frowned upon because I'm not. And religion was a big part of it as well. I
Okay.
think you said that with, your friend
Yes.
said something that is
Yeah.
similar to that. But
Well,
my
well,
father was very religious and coming from more of a non-denominational kind of church
got you.
aspect. But my mother was Catholic,
Okay.
and I was familiar with both, but both kind of scared me at the same
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah. I grew up the same way, Catholic, and
Yeah.
kind of went to non-denomination.
Yeah. And so, both very different, but also kind of stemming into the
Yeah,
like
like
same
they're all
areas.
scary because like you feel like there's a lot of rules,
Right.
and
And
then you sometimes you're like, well, these are some kind of fucked up rules.
right.
Depending
Absolutely.
on people's situation, you can't,
Well,
right?
right. And depending on the church and everything like that nowadays. But back then it was very confusing because
Yeah,
not only just kind of understanding what religion was and what it meant, it was my parents kind of came from two different kind of walks
yeah,
of that same path. So it was very much like a teeter-totter situation of like my dad's beliefs, my mom's beliefs. My dad's beliefs were stronger. And since a very young age, like anything that pointed more feminine, like I'm talking anything, like literally anything that just stood out from the stereotypical male
hmm,
child, it was like it was wrong and like you're wrong and you're going to hell, like definitely, like if that's like the life that you like think, like even if it was something small, like if it was considered like feminine or
right,
like gay at all, like
right.
or anything like back then that they would consider it, it was like it was just very frowned upon. So I
Hmm.
spent most of my young
That
years
was your
like
dad's side or your mom's side?
that was my dad.
Dang.
Not my dad's side, but, like,
Well,
my
like
father's
the religion.
influence.
Yeah, right.
Yes, so
Yeah,
my father was non-denominational,
gotcha.
and but my mom kind of, like a lot of times in our younger years of me being raised, my mom kind of followed the leader, which at that time in her generation, like, I can't blame her for it.
Right, I get it.
She decided to have a family younger, and that was her choice, and she's been a great mother, but at some points in the very beginning, she did kind of follow my father's lead, and
Right,
what his lead was at that point in life and not knowing what this meant for me and what it meant for my life. It was very sinful. And I spent most of my childhood thinking I was going to hell, like
right,
most definitely. And not understanding and spending many, many nights praying that I wouldn't feel this way
right,
and that I could just be quote unquote normal. Because of course, if I could choose the easy way,
right,
it was going to be that. But I knew
right.
definitely early on that no, this is, I'm going to be something different. Like, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be different and it's probably going to be hard. And so my early on years was like very hard for me. And every time I expressed myself in any feminine way, whether it be like watching television that
Right,
was more like
right.
girly
Watching chick
cartoons,
flicks.
watching chick flicks, watching, like girly cartoons,
Yeah,
like playing with my sister's toys instead of like army
For
soldiers
sure,
and
like
things
GI
like that.
Joes. Yeah,
Yeah, I was playing with Barbies and
I was curious with
wanted,
all of them. I
well,
was just,
but kids can be kids and
oh yeah,
that
for
might
sure.
not always
And I have 3
mean
sisters, so the shit was like kind of right behind me.
right. And my sister, I have a sister and an older sister and a
Right,
younger brother. And
right,
at that time in my life, I looked up to my sister so much and I felt a sense of comfort like hanging out with her and playing with her with that those kinds of toys and
right.
like those kinds of movies with that kind of, element to it. But it was like not okay at all.
Wow.
And I was so scared most of the time because I just felt like everything I was doing was wrong. And I didn't want to,
Right, right,
but it was hard. And not really knowing what a relationship with any kind of God would mean for me or like, religion.
right,
It was like I was put so much, it was like I was forced into like all these different kinds of confusing beliefs. And it was like before I could even come to terms with what that would mean for me, I had an understanding of, well, I'm living the wrong way.
right,
And so for many years, that's how it was. And I don't want to bash my parents, but it was hard, and they didn't understand, and not many people did. But
right.
I can definitely say, like my grandmother for sure, my Grammy, my Grammy and my Mimi, which are my dad's mom and my mom's mom.
Right,
Um, they were big influences from a child, like a young child.
right.
Even though my mom kind of followed my dad's lead with everything that he said was wrong, my Grammy and my Mimi for sure. Like it was like when I went to their house,
Oh yeah.
it was like they turned the eye. Like they were
Mm-hmm.
like, just,
Just
do what you
right.
want. My Grammy would
Let
like,
it be.
yeah, like I would go in my Grammy's like closet and like try on her high heels
Right.
and her dresses and like play with her makeup or do her makeup. And like definitely I knew that that wouldn't be like talked about in like when I went home.
Mm-hmm.
But like for some reason, like she was okay with it and she didn't say anything about it. And
Right.
and if it was brought up, it was just it's fine. Like
So she knew just since day one.
well, she just knew something was different and
Right.
and also just let me be a kid. And both of them did. And like I said, I didn't know what it meant for me at that time. I just knew that's what was I was interested
Right.
in.
Right.
And I was not interested in anything that most of boys were at my age were interested in. So that's how it went on for so long. It was kind of like me wanting, as a
Right.
child to sway that way and like
Right.
fighting the current back and forth.
Right.
But when I got into middle school, that's kind of when things like took a turn,
Mm-hmm.
I think for sure, because I wasn't really like a small child anymore where
Right.
the other kids kind of just went with the flow. It was now, like there's different kids of different walks of life with different types of parents and homes that know different things.
Right.
And I was bullied a lot in middle school and it was so confusing for me because I was fighting, like I said, it felt like I was fighting the current so hard. It was like no matter what they called me, it was like, no, I'm not. Like,
Right.
like I'm just at the end of the day, it was like I am who I am. But like, no, that's why are you trying to force that down me? Like, how are you saying like how are you gonna tell me who I am?
Right.
Like
Right.
when you don't know anything about me.
Right.
And kids were cruel for sure. Kids are still cruel.
Kids can be bad. They can be horrible. And it's what they learn from home,
Well,
unfortunately.
and sometimes it's now as an adult, I understand that like, sometimes they're miserable in their own lives
For
and
sure.
they just
Yeah.
take it out on
Oh
someone
yeah. Oh yeah.
else.
Usually when you're bullied by somebody, it's because they're getting fucked with at home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I
And
dealt with a bunch of
so,
them too.
yeah.
Yeah. Catholic school actually, first grade.
Well,
Got picked on and kindergarten.
yeah. So, well, I started in Catholic school too. I kind of
Got
swayed
kicked out
toward
of
my
first
mom's
grade.
side and did Catholic school, I think preschool through
Mm-hmm.
maybe not that long, maybe like third or fourth grade. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
third grade,
I
I
got
think.
asked to leave in first grade. They didn't like me, so I went to
You
public
see,
school.
and in third grade, that's when I kind of reached my limit, and they were like, "I don't think we can help
Yeah, like
this
you're
one."
not. They can't help you because they don't want to deal with you. Like they want to
Right,
deal with my ADHD.
right.
So
Well, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
And for me,
so
it was like I had ADD, and like, yeah,
mm-hmm.
I needed a little extra help with the teachers
Right.
for
Yeah, for
sure.
sure. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I had focusing issues definitely as a child, but they knew something was different and they didn't want that there. I could tell. Like it was just,
Right. Didn't fit the narrative.
it didn't fit the narrative. And I think my mom also kind of knew that at some point too,
Right.
because even though I was different at home, it's different when your child is like in a school where maybe like maybe they're treated a certain way because
Right.
of something,
Yeah.
even if you can't explain it.
Yeah. It's not cool to have your kid picked on.
No. And it's not
I
cool
don't think any
for
parent wants that, no matter
no.
like if their kid can play ball, not play ball, feel like this, feel like that. Like nobody, like most parents, you got the
Yeah.
ones that are like just hardcore. They're like, oh, that's not right. So
No.
you got those, but those parents were raised by probably a fucked up parent. So it's like hurt people.
Exactly. And yeah, and even when my parents knew that I was going through bullying and things like that, they were very, understanding with me and supportive and very sympathetic towards what I was going through.
Right,
But it wasn't a long time before they kind of accepted what it was that I was going through, which was why maybe I was kind of targeted more.
right,
And it wasn't until middle school, probably like sixth, seventh grade. Most of my life from then, I was mostly hanging out with like female friends in school. Um, so that was like probably why I was picked on a lot because I didn't have
right,
many guy friends.
right.
So I didn't connect with many guys at my age. Most of them were immature.
For
I was a
sure.
quiet kid. Like I liked to just go to class, worry about myself, like maybe have some laughs with my friends
Right.
and like but I was picked on a lot and that hurt me and it hurt my family and it was confusing. So I went through most of middle school with, not understanding the labels that were put on me. And then around 8th grade, I was like kind of, like going through those changes in life at that age and hormones and everything like that. And yeah, I started to sway one way or another.
Right.
I wasn't attracted to like that much masculine energy. It was all very feminine for me. And so, like that's kind of where it started, 8th grade. And
Did you ever go through depression?
definitely
Right.
most of those years were very lonely years. I kind of describe them, I think, because meanwhile, I had a good supportive family and a
Hmm.
very big family, a
Right.
matter of fact. And I was shown love and I was given everything I needed. But at the same time, I felt so alone because they didn't understand what was going through my head. And I honestly felt like I was like sick. It was almost like
Right.
I felt like I was sick or something. Like,
Right. Because everybody's looking at you differently. It's a lonely road.
yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
like I said, when I was younger, like we didn't have any kind of like LGBT on the TV. And like if it was on TV, like it was like made fun of in my household or
Right.
like,
Right.
like neglect, like turn the channel off. Like what the fuck is that shit?
Right. Right.
Like, you know, um
How is it now?
now. Well, I mean, I think it has a lot to do with my 8th grade year and like transitioning into high school,
Gotcha.
which it was kind of like really bad at that point.
Right.
I was going through a lot of bullying. And then at that point, when I was kind of deflecting those
Hmm.
emotions, it was like, then I kind of started to, yeah, I started to understand like, yeah, I am kind of attracted to everything feminine. I think I feel more feminine in my own body.
Right.
I feel like more attracted to masculine energy, like in a romantic way, things like that. And so it was kind of hard for me because I was like, damn, like I can't control this now. Like
Right.
it's not like it's gonna go away.
It
And
was just getting
so
stronger.
it was just getting stronger and like I didn't know how to deal with it.
Hmm.
So I went into my first year of high school very nervous.
How old
And
were you?
when I entered high school, I think I was 15.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so I was 15 my freshman year, I think. And my freshman year, it was good. For some parts, there was a lot of weight lifted from the immaturity that was in middle school
Right.
during those years. But I was at that point so lost and so confused and just so broken, honestly, because I was changing into something that I didn't know how to control and how to get help and how to even talk about. And I had floated through so many different friends. I didn't have any true friends.
Right.
And it was like, even though me and my mom had a great relationship at home, like, like putting dinner on the table or like watching TV together, like binging The Nanny, like
Right.
that was our thing. But I couldn't talk to her about that.
Right.
So I hid so much, and it was a lot of weight. So I think that really affected me in my freshman year. And at that point, I didn't really want to like go on anymore. I
Right.
didn't even see myself like, I looked at, I kind of like put myself in perspective, like, okay, you're a freshman now. Like, do you see yourself in 12th grade? Not really. Like, like, what would you want to do? Like, go to college? Like, I don't know. Like, do you see yourself like getting married, having kids? Like, just all these questions.
Right.
And honestly, I didn't think I would even like live that long. Like, that's how
Wow.
my like mind worked.
What did you think was going to happen to you?
Well, I just thought like this is just not what I want. Like because at that point I was too young to like not defend myself, but I was too young to like do my own thing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not an adult yet.
Fight for your right type shit.
Right. But at the same time, I wanted to rebel because like I couldn't control it.
Right. Yeah. Well,
And
I mean, you were a
so,
teenager at that point. That's why I was asking you how old, because like the
yeah.
hormones are pretty fucking crazy.
Right. So at that point, I was not on anything like hormone therapy related.
Right.
I was just experiencing every hormone that your typical like male child would experience. And it was just very wrong to me.
Right.
And it was scary. So like I went through all those changes and like not liking them.
Right.
And feeling so different and gross and it was just a lot of dysmorphia.
Yeah.
But I just decided like I don't think like this is for me. Like I don't really see myself like getting happy at this point, like and enjoying my life. Like if I
Right.
have to live for everyone else, like why am I here?
Right.
So like yeah, I definitely got really depressed at that time. And that was probably like 2015, 2016, something like that. I don't
So
know.
what changed?
Well, I definitely went through a rough patch and I actually had an overdose that happened when I was 15 or 16. I can't remember.
Right.
It's very like a much like a part of my life that I kind of in a way blocked out for a few years.
Yeah, the
And then
brain
it's
does
like,
that when it goes through trauma. It
yeah,
actually makes you forget things.
I blocked it out
Sometimes.
for the first like 2 years and then like
Did you try
started
to
to
remember it, or you just blocked it?
it was like I blocked it and I did remember it, but like at the same time I didn't let myself like touch on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't let myself feel it or really know what it meant for me.
Right.
Because it still was hard for me, even though my family like, like I had an overdose of painkillers and it was around the time like things were getting really bad. It was hard to control my
Right.
feelings and at school I was expressing myself more, but it was all negative
Right.
backlash.
Right. Correct.
So I
Like
was
you were
getting
being who you want to be, and you were getting
right.
bullied.
Right, because I could only be the way I wanted to be at school, so it was like I had to.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Express
like
yourself.
right, but at the same time, every like especially the guys in high school, like it was just I was so scared and like they were so mean and but it was worth it because like it wasn't my parents,
Right. Right.
Like I can just ignore them.
Right.
But it got very, very like heavy and like it was hard to ignore some of those things. And then,
Oh yeah.
you
Well, I mean, you
know,
want people to like you. You know what I mean? Like you don't want the whole world to like just be like, and you know what I'm saying? As long as they're not my parents. So it's like
and
feel shitty.
yeah, and I was definitely like a kid that like I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be a kind person,
What sign are you?
I'm a Capricorn.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not the typical Capricorn.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm a Virgo, so we feel like that too. We feel like we just want people to like us.
yeah, and I just want to be kind in life. And so when people weren't kind to me, it was kind of confusing.
Mm.
And so I had the overdose. It was basically kind of revolving around me sharing with my parents like basically like a cry for help. Like I think I might feel this way. I know I probably told you that this is not what I felt before,
Right.
but I kind of like this is what I think it is. And they were nervous. Like they were
Was it
nervous,
nervous for you?
angry. Well, I think at the end of the day, they were nervous what this life might mean for me and the struggles
Gotcha.
I would go
Oh,
through.
nice. Yeah, yeah.
But at the
Like
same
worried for
time,
you.
right, worried for me,
Yeah,
but it didn't come out that way
gotcha.
at
Oh, you're
all.
right.
It was
What I
like,
meant to say was, yeah,
right,
and I've done that. I sometimes I don't know how to say what I'm trying to tell you in my
right.
head.
And so, yeah, I took it very negatively. And as a 15-year-old, like,
Right.
your parents are telling you, like, well, I don't know if this is going to be okay. Like, this is all new for me now. Like, I have to talk to your dad about it. Like, this is, I just can't believe this. Like, like, do you want to go to hell? Like, like, why would you want that?
That's pretty
Like,
wild.
just so, like, just very degrading. Like, it's just very degrading. Like,
But it's because like at the time they didn't know better. They
right.
weren't educated.
And they probably came like from a religion aspect that was very, it was very frowned upon, and
It's
then a
instilled in
generation,
mhm,
and it like that's
a stronger
all,
generation of religion
of
than
course.
now.
And yeah, so that was what it was. But yeah, no, I had an OD, and then after that, my parents were like, "How can we help you? Like, I don't want to lose you, blah blah blah." And it was like we still had a long way to go at that point, but it
Right. But it
started
woke them
to,
up.
but it woke them up, and
Did it wake you up?
it did, because I knew at that point, like, it was pretty bad. Like, I was in the hospital for a few weeks,
Yeah, like, but how did you feel?
and
Like, what did you when you woke up? Like, what was the first thing you thought about?
the first thing I can remember was like the nurse, like, actually waking up for the first time, like, in the hospital.
Yeah.
Um, I couldn't talk because I had a breathing tube down my throat,
Mm,
and so they gave me like a little whiteboard, and the first thing I wrote was like, "I'm so sorry. Like, I actually don't want to die."
right.
And I think it was me saying, like, no, I don't want to die. I just want to be myself and not be judged for it. And even if I don't know how to explain it, like, I don't feel like I should have to explain it. I just want to be able to
Just be
feel
yourself.
and
Yeah.
be me.
Yeah.
And so
Did you
that's,
see anything?
yeah, well, it was hard.
Like,
Like,
do you remember like when you blacked out?
it was like fragments. Like, I
Right.
hadn't,
Because I mean, like you
I,
were out for a couple. I mean, a little bit, right?
yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I had taken like a lot of medication, and I had passed out. I was like having seizures. And I can remember, like, while having the seizures, like,
Oh wow.
the, like, the EMS,
Mm-hmm.
like, I can remember them, like, fragments of like blacking out to like seeing her to blacking out, like, and
Oh
just
wow.
remember her telling me, like, stay with me, like, like asking me questions, and it was just like a very bright light, and I don't
Hmm.
remember much from that because,
That's wild.
yeah, no, it was crazy. And matter of fact, my dad, like, was the one like doing like CPR on me,
Mm-hmm.
like, until the ambulance got there, and that just shows how much he does care about me.
Oh, for sure.
But at the same time, like, I didn't know that in my head,
Yeah.
of what it meant. It was just very confusing. So yeah, no, when I woke up, it was like, no, I don't want to die.
Right.
But from that point, like, being in the hospital for like a few weeks, like, with the tube down my throat, then getting that pulled out and thinking like, oh, it's time to go home. Like, I missed
Mm-hmm.
my bed. And then realizing, well, shit, I'm not going home. Like, I'm
Right.
going to the loony bin.
Yeah. Is that what you thought?
Yeah, well, that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I can remember my mom like coming and saying like, sorry, I want you to come home, but you need to get better.
Right.
And I was like, shit, like, what can I say? Like, I just want to go home.
Right.
But no, I ended up,
But
in a
you kind of fucked up.
facility,
Yeah.
and it was scary.
Yeah.
There was a lot of kids there that were different than me, that were going through different things,
Yeah, for
whether it be
sure.
drugs
Yeah, for
or
sure. Yeah.
like abuse, or like maybe they were like abusive. So it was like very different for me. And I was a very sheltered child. So that definitely was a turning point. And then when I got out of the hospital, especially when I returned to school, like 6 weeks later, whatever it was, um, I kind of decided, even without like really realizing it, like, just fuck this. Like, I could have literally died last week. Like, come
Right.
on. Like,
Right.
honestly,
Right.
like, and shit. Like, and I'm put too pussy to like actually
Yeah.
try it again.
Yeah. Fuck
I'm
everybody.
too
Y'all just
pussy to
gonna have
try
to.
it again. So I might as well just be me.
Yeah. Y'all gonna have to deal with it.
Exactly.
Deal with
So,
Tyler.
yep. So it was a lot of years in high school, just being the flamboyant one
Hmm.
and still very much male presenting, but just on my way.
Yeah.
And
Living
along the
living your
way,
best
like,
life.
yeah, living my life to whatever it was. And it was hard, like my parents, like, especially even after like the OD, like it wasn't like things were perfect.
Hmm.
Like when I started wanting to wear more feminine clothes or makeup, it was like, oh, those were really hard points in my life of
Right.
judgment and not understanding
Right.
and just like emotional turmoil. But like at some point, I just stopped caring. And like I was a very closed off person. And it sucks, but I think I had to like just like be kind of numb and just be like, I don't even care anymore.
Right.
Like you can put me out on the street, but like I'm like if I want to wear like my hair this way,
Right.
or if I want to get it cut this way, or if I want to go get a manicure or something, like
Right.
like I don't care what you think anymore.
Right.
And like that was hard because they took it as like you don't respect me,
Right.
like you don't feel any kind of respect of making me comfortable. And I was like, well shit,
You're not letting me
you're
be
not
me.
letting me be comfortable. Do you think I feel comfortable in like a
Right.
pantsuit,
Right.
like a suit and a tie? Like what the fuck? Like I went to my like first prom like so confused, like in a kind of a tux, like, but also wearing like full on makeup and my hair was a little longer and I put it up,
Right.
and I had a heel on, but like nobody was happy with me except me. I felt like a badass bitch, but
Yeah.
like everyone
Sounds like
else,
you
like
was.
it was just like a lot of ignoring the eyes. But I think a lot of had to do with it was
Did
the
you go to
later
prom by yourself?
I did.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But I
I would
think
have went with you. That'd have been cool. Shit.
I actually got to kind of redo
Nobody asked you
prom.
out? Like you didn't have one bite?
No, because it was different. Like I wasn't bullied as much like
Oh,
with
towards
high
it.
school.
Gotcha. Towards
But
the
at the
end.
same time, like there was nobody that like there was not many people like me still. So like it was
Gotcha.
like if anybody was asked at that time, like who was the gay one, who was the
Gotcha.
trans one, or who was
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
like they knew me. Like
Gotcha.
I was the one.
Was that a small school?
It wasn't that small of a school, which
Okay.
is
Yeah.
kind of like, and I knew a few other people,
Yeah.
but because of how I kind of decided to like live my life and like
Do your thing.
do my thing, like it was like everybody was kind of looking. And I didn't even really notice. Like I was just like,
That's cool.
whatever, like
Yeah. So you were just in your own zone.
in my own zone and making like somewhat of a reputation for myself that maybe now I don't even care for, but it
Right.
was what it was.
Right. I mean, hey, I think you might have sabotaged your little life over there a little bit.
A little
Yeah.
bit. A lot of like bad decision making on those early years. But I
Well, I think
think,
you're learning,
yeah,
and it's like you might have been resenting some people.
and still so confused in
Yeah, for
high
sure.
school
Yeah.
because I was
Doing a
more
lot of resentment.
feminine, but at the same time, I wasn't where I wanted to be,
Right.
like at all. And like my best friends, like, because like I said, I went through a lot of time without like having like true friends, like
Right.
knowing what true love and friendship meant.
Right.
And like, there was this girl I can remember, like, and like I could remember her from years of middle school. And she was just so confident and like, like just didn't really care what anybody thought. Like some people might have called her the mean girl or like the popular girl or whatever
Right.
it was, but something about her was just so strong to me. Like no matter who called her what names, like she like just embodied it
Hmm.
and didn't care. And so I spent a lot of my like younger years like just kind of like keeping the eye.
Right.
And then like my freshman year, like especially when I got out the hospital, like I went back to class and we had a class together and I was like, shit, like I'm gonna make her my friend. And
Yeah.
in fact, I'm not only gonna make her my friend, I'm gonna ask her for help because like
Right.
maybe she can help me just like be more like confident in my skin,
Be a bad bitch.
be a bad bitch.
Well, she
And
sounds like one.
yeah,
So,
so from freshman year on, like she is one of my best friends to this day.
how did you feel when like
And
she wanted to be your friend? Was that a great feeling? Did you feel like
it was confusing because I still kind of was presenting more male. So
okay,
at the
got you,
same time,
got you.
like their parents were like kind of like confused about
Yeah.
like me coming over
Right.
and they weren't always inviting me to like the girl sleepovers and things like that.
Right. Right.
But like she like Sophia, like that's her name. She
Yeah.
like
Shout out
really
Sophia.
Yeah, shout out Sophia. She didn't care. Like, and at some point,
That's
like, I think
awesome.
she realized, like, this person cares a lot about me. And like, we started spending more time together.
Right.
And through like our friendship, like, she pushed me and she was like,
That's
come
awesome.
on, girl. Like, at one point, like, I was only wearing like clear nail polish and she was like, let's do a sparkle. And I'm like, no, girl, I can't do a sparkle. Like, I can't. And she's
But
like,
I want to.
but I want to. And she like,
Little bit.
yeah, she pushed me to do some of those things, which
Wow.
without her support, I wouldn't have
Wow.
had anyone. So it was
Wow. That's
like,
pretty powerful.
yeah, so it's like at the time, my parents probably hated her for doing
Right,
that.
right.
But when I was with her, I
Don't help her
felt,
embrace who she is.
yeah. But at the time, like, I felt like an energy with her that like was like nothing else. And so,
It's a great
yeah,
friend.
a great friend. And then in my senior year, which I skipped a year because I was like, I have got to get out of here. Like,
Mm,
I have got to be like an adult and like decide like my own choices and make my own way, make my own money.
right.
And so I decided like I'm gonna just make as many credits as I can and like just skip. So I moved from like being a sophomore to a senior and I skipped a class. So I wasn't with Sophia anymore and I was really nervous. And at that point, I was becoming a lot more feminine. And it was nerve wracking for me, especially like with some male teachers at the time. Like
Hmm.
it was just, you know, I could tell like I was looked at differently and it was hard. Even the bullying, like when it stopped and wasn't as bad, like it was still a struggle. But my senior year, I met my next closest friend to this day, which her name is Maddie. And
Shout out, Maddie.
yeah, and she, from that standpoint of having both of them, they were like, Tyler, like, I know like you feel this way about this and you feel that way about this, but like, what does that maybe mean for you? Like, would you rather us like call you she? Like, is
Right.
that what you're going for? You know? And nobody would have ever asked me that ever. Like, I didn't even want to ask myself the question. Like, I knew that's probably where it was going,
Hmm.
but like, nobody was ever interested enough. And I never felt comfortable enough with somebody to maybe say yes and be
Right.
honest. But I was honest with them and I said, yeah, girls, like, even if you can't do it in public, like, yeah, maybe we can start trying it. Like, that would make me really happy. And so they started calling me she and using the pronouns that I'd liked. And that's kind of where it started from there. And
How'd that make you feel?
it made me feel like I was actually like a real person, you know, because I really just did not feel comfortable or have any kind of like recognition with the pronouns I was using and with
Hmm.
the gender I was kind of stuck with. And so it gave me kind of hope.
Right.
So yeah, I pushed a lot through those years and tried to educate myself and my family and switch things around. And
Right.
with the struggles I had with the OD and everything like that, along with a lot of, you know, arguments and fights and confusion, it was like every argument we had, like, almost kind of made a difference.
Right.
It
Right.
was like kind of like unraveling. And it was like, okay,
You were
the
finally
years, the years went on and then slowly like there was other people in the news in the media that might be transgender or
right.
it was slowly becoming a little bit more um kind of like just recognized
Right.
in day-to-day life, which at one point it just felt like it wasn't. And so yeah, I mean, I really just pushed to be myself. And luckily eventually after a long like road, it was like they they are now like on my side and they understand more than ever now. And I think I understand more than ever now
Right.
that it was like this is just me.
Yeah.
Like, and it's crazy because I've been to so many doctors with certain issues or checkups. And it's funny because like a lot of like my health and stuff like lead me to the doctors like being like that's not normal for like a biological male. Like that, oh, you have this, that's not normal like for, you know, a biological male. Like before I even started my hormones and which was the year after high
Hmm.
school, um like I could not like have kids. Like I went to go like do like some kind of banking at like, you know, that's kind of the process of our first appointment was like explaining like, you know, once you start hormone therapy, um, you can't like you won't be fertile anymore,
Right.
and like your chances of having a kid will be gone. So at a young age, like I wanted to have a kid. Like
Right.
I like just like kind of like wanted that, like looked at that like as it was like almost like a challenge, but also like something in my life that would be just great. Like having a kid and not judging them for anything and just letting them be them and kind of it would be kind of healing for
Right.
me. And at a young age I knew that. So went got tested and everything like that. And I was just completely sterile and like had no chance of having kids. And like it was just crazy to me because like why? Like especially if I was put in this body, like
Right.
why couldn't I do like what I was technically supposed to be able to do? And so that was frustrating. And then along the way, like a lot of other things didn't add up. So like it really can come down to genetics. And
Right.
sometimes like chromosomes mix up at the last minute. And like doctors are so advanced now that they can test for some of these things. And it's like sometimes like genuinely like this is just who this person is.
Right.
And why can't we accept them? You
Yeah.
know, why can't we just let them be them, even if it might be
Right.
different? So I think a lot of my like past few years has been like a struggle and like in a journey and open communication with my family and trying to educate them and educate myself and just
Yeah.
take it day by day.
I mean, the first day I met you, I was like, she looks like Tyler. You just do, and I've never thought of you any other way. I told you I thought you were special since I met you, and I don't know. I mean, I guess one day people will kind of wake up. People are waking up more and more. Again,
Definitely. I mean, I think one big thing
it's
of
hard out here. It's hard out here. This thing called life.
and everybody's journey is individually hard for their own reasons. And that's why I feel like, yeah, that's definitely why I decided, like, besides the fact that I felt comfortable talking with you, I think it was
Thank you.
interesting to come on here and maybe say some of these things that, yeah, no, like, I just hope people, like kids especially,
Yeah.
know, like, that things can change.
Yeah.
And, like, no, not every parent um, is going to be
Eh,
able to change as much as mine did.
Right. Right.
But at the same time, like, there's got to be hope out there,
For sure.
like with the way I felt with my suicide attempt and the way the kids right now are, like,
Oh
it's
yeah, it's
sad. There's
bad.
so
Yeah.
many kids. Like I have
And
family members and like it's just it's heartbreaking. Like they just don't they're not like as it's I hate to say they're not as strong, but like it just seems like it's not that easy for them to just kind of let brush the emotions off sometimes how I did.
right. Not everybody is just built for that.
Right.
A lot of people are emotional. It just all the situations you grow up in. Some people don't know how to be mentally tough.
No, not at all,
And
especially
it's
when someone's tearing you down.
yeah, for sure. So a lot of mentally tough people have been like mentally abused, physically abused. Some of them make it out alive, some don't. And so like
Right.
it's just life. It's
Absolutely. And I just wish, like if there's anything to take from anything I said, I guess it's just that things can change.
yeah,
And even if you can't change someone's point of view or make them understand you,
right,
understand yourself and
right.
like it's its own journey to find
Hmm.
yourself. And I've been on it for many, many years. And it's like I'm not done
Right,
because like you're constantly changing
for sure.
and the world is constantly
Hmm.
changing. And I feel like people shouldn't be so quick because it's a beautiful thing to just be yourself
Yeah,
and to just choose to be happy no matter how, no matter where you are in life because my journey wasn't that strong at first,
right,
hormones have not been easy.
right.
I've been sick a lot and it's not an easy journey. And I definitely started off, especially a few years ago, not liking the way I looked
Right,
and
right.
struggling.
The dysphoria and dysmorphia.
Right. And
Got all of them.
and thinking I looked good
Morpheus.
and now looking back at it and
Yeah.
like, God damn, like girl, you were in beauty school and like you had those clip-ins in or
Uh-huh.
you had that wig on and it
All
was just
basic
not
looking. You
it.
didn't even know. Yeah.
I didn't even know.
But you were learning.
But I was learning exactly. And
Yeah. You were
I'm kind of
evolving.
proud of myself that I didn't really judge myself that hard at that point. because I was so persistent that even if
Well,
I
yeah,
didn't,
but you were finally getting to be yourself, so you just didn't give a shit.
well, and it was like,
Put on the wrong color lipstick. It's lipstick. I'm putting it on, but
right.
like now you know how to
But
like
now I can do it.
for sure. Yeah,
Like now I can wake up in the morning and choose that. And
yeah.
it's
I think your
like,
makeup's always on point at work. I mean, how you dress, like best dress all the time, best hair. I mean, that you put on an entire show. Like,
and it's the practice that
yeah,
I've had, like in the journey of,
that's why I said I was like, I mean, most well put together person I've ever seen.
thank you.
You're
I mean,
welcome.
it just takes, it takes time and effort,
Yeah,
and not everybody would want to present themselves the way that I do, but I feel comfortable with how I am now. And I feel the probably the most comfortable and the most true to myself as far as my appearance.
yeah,
Like how I explained, like when I was younger, I didn't know who was staring back at
for
me.
sure. Yeah,
Now I look in the mirror
like
and
you
I see,
recognize that person.
I'm like, oh, like I know who
Hey,
she
girl.
is. Hey, girl. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
I thought that was cool, like how your friend said that for you. You know what I mean? Like it's hopefully somebody out there when they finally hear it, like they get to see like, hey, it's okay. I can be
yeah.
myself, and
I think a good,
nothing's easy
even if it's not family,
for
sometimes
sure.
it's chosen family.
Yeah.
And
Well, God puts
sometimes,
everybody in your life for a reason. I mean,
exactly.
every stepping stone. What I told you at work one day, like everything's like a stepping stone, like this job
Yes.
and this job or this relationship, this
It all
relationship.
happens for a
Yeah,
reason.
I mean, you're gonna have different parts of your life at different times where it's like literally different chapters.
And sometimes it's building blocks, I think.
Yes. Oh yeah. 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 I really appreciate you coming on. Like, so how you feel now that you've kind of like shared? Like, how do you like? Was it?
It feels kind of like it was a ramble, but
Yeah. No. No. I think
I
it was
mean,
supposed to
also
be.
like that's just kind of how I am.
Yeah, I love it. I
But
think it's supposed to be. I
no,
mean,
I mean, I think it's kind of like interesting to kind of get some things off my chest, but also just to kind of talk about it in general because I don't talk about it
right,
a lot. But no, I feel good. Like, I mean, I definitely just hope that, you know, like the new generation and just anybody else, because it's not even the new generation. Sometimes it's the older generation
right.
that is struggling as well
Oh, for
because
sure.
of the peers that they have
Yeah.
around their age and the
Yeah.
way they feel about them that yeah, they're maybe like,
Every generation has its downsides.
yeah. I
There's
mean,
its struggles.
not everybody can transition or express themselves no matter what way it is
Right.
at this early in life that I did. And, like a lot of it, sometimes it's violence in
Yes.
different
Yes.
areas,
Yes.
especially with the African American trans women community or just the trans community in general. It's they're targeted and
Other parts of the world.
yeah, in other parts of the world. And it so many people like, feared their life on a day-to-day basis. And I did
Right.
not experience that.
Right.
And that just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And I think the goal, if anything, is just to know you're not alone, and also at the same time like bring awareness to people that this is real and
Mhm.
that this is, people are taking away rights every single day for just people like me just being themselves.
Right.
People that would like, if I lived in a different state, like they would force me to go in the men's bathroom, like I would
Right.
not know what to do. Like
Yeah.
I would feel so unsafe
Right.
and like just like degraded and like that's just the stepping stone of what's going
Right.
on right now.
Right.
But it's just like I can't imagine, and so many people are going through that, and I think it's just kind of like raising awareness and knowing what's going on, and that people that are going through this situation, like it's not a chosen life,
Right.
and that most of the time, like there's no like malintention, there's no malice, like it's just true honesty. And a lot of people in our community are just beautiful,
Yeah.
wonderful people. And like I just wish that sometimes people would be more open to understanding our life
Yeah.
and like what it means to us and the journey that it is, because it never ends. And yeah, I think things are getting better.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Things are getting better, at least as far as recognition wise.
Right.
And I'm glad to be seeing like things in like the newspaper and
For
like
sure. Yeah.
even if it's not what I want to hear, if somebody's talking about it, it's good in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I just want everybody to be cool with everybody. Like let everybody live their life. It's not a big deal. Like worry about you. Worry
Well,
about your kid or your wife or your husband. I don't know. People just need to chill out.
I agree.
I really do. But I think it's getting better. you
Yeah.
know.
I
I
think if
mean,
everyone worried about themselves,
yeah.
just themselves,
I mean,
and not,
I'm grateful for you to come here and like, since the day I met you, I felt like a connection with you. And to me, it's like you meet people like Anthony Johnson. It's like you meet these people like you, like him, like all my other friends, Bob, Brandon, Chris, Jeff. Like you meet all these people, and then you feel like, hey, I've like met these different types of people that have like inspired me, and like I've learned something from that person, just like I learned stuff from you. And
absolutely.
so I'm just grateful that you came on the show and shared with us because, like I told you, somebody out there needs to hear that. I needed to hear that. Hopefully, like, you needed to hear that.
Yeah, I think, and saying it out loud is different
So thank
also.
you.
Thank you.
Um, we're about ready to wrap it up. How long have we been talking?
I don't
Yeah.
even know.
Yeah. It's, how long you think? Maybe like 20 minutes?
I don't think 20 minutes.
But
I
hey,
think
it goes
longer
fast,
than
huh?
that. It
Does
does.
it feel like it's been that long or a little long? I don't know. Maybe like an hour 30. That's how I
Yeah.
feel. I got like a little.
I'm like
I
going
have
for
a
like
I have a little
an
time
an
clock
hour
in my
30,
brain.
hour
Yeah,
45.
yeah. That's how long I've been doing this. Ain't that weird? Not knowing shit.
Hey,
Um.
that's part of it.
Where can people like find you if they want to get their hair done by you or reach out to you, like your Instagram? What you got?
Yeah, no. If you're in the New Orleans area, definitely I'm working
Shout out.
on yeah, no, I'm working on my hair career. So like a part of like who I am and my
Mhm.
passion is just making people feel good about
Right.
themselves.
Right.
And I'm learning every day, but I have a great support system at Salon Jolie, and
Shout out.
really shout out to Amanda for hiring me, and great girls that work there. And so yeah, I definitely would love, any new clientele that, is interested in making a change, or,
Right.
anything like that, definitely come see me. But I'm on social media on Instagram. I'm not that great at social media at
Yeah,
this
man.
point,
Oh, I mean, yeah, maybe somebody might watch and reach out to you. You might have.
Yeah, but no, I definitely, my Instagram's Tyler Lindner official.
I
And,
love your Instagram. I think
it,
you're a content creator.
I have one post, Eric,
Maybe two. Maybe
maybe.
two. But they're really good. Looks like you spent a lot of time on the picture.
Well, I couldn't, that is probably true.
I mean,
Uh,
because I was like, damn, she takes like good pictures too. So you're a talented person,
Well, it's a lot of
talented human being. So I respect that, and so thank you for like showing me these values about you
no,
because I learned a lot.
thank you for having
But
me
you'll come
and
back
being
on
so
next time.
kind. Yeah, no. Next time maybe let's not talk about me, but
Yeah, I felt like we asked a lot of me questions too, or maybe I don't even
no,
know.
I was definitely feeling comfortable and natural and everything
Nice,
like that.
nice, awesome.
So like maybe we'll discuss some like fun topics or
Right,
something.
right. Well, that's what's up. Well, I can't wait to have you back. Hopefully you guys like the show. Thank you, Tyler, for coming and sharing your amazing story. And hopefully, I know it's going to help a lot of other people. I know it helped me. And if y'all like this episode, just hit that subscribe button to your left. And thank y'all for watching the show. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.